It's a week focused on protecting you watching at home. Here to talk about National Consumer Protection Week, Sheryl Reichert with the Better Business Bureau. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, what's the purpose of this whole week?
Well, it is about educating and protecting consumers, and a lot of people just aren't aware that when you do business in the marketplace, you have rights. And there are a lot of government agencies and resources available if you have a problem after the sale and you can't get it resolved, or just to help you with information before the sale. So local agencies, state agencies, federal agencies, and a lot of consumer advocacy groups are trying to help people understand what their resources are.
Ultimately, you are not alone.
You're not alone, especially if you are wronged or you're harmed. There are people that can help you.
Now let's talk about here in San Diego, what are some of the biggest scams where people get taken advantage of?
You know, we have a place on our website that collects data on scams, and we're finding that the #1 scam is tax scams overall, which is very timely right now, but particularly posing as the IRS, because we all have taxes, they come due, we don't know how much we owe, and when someone calls posing in a position of authority and starts making threats, we tend to be forthcoming with our information, believing that it's a credible source. And unfortunately, it's a way for a lot of con artists to get information and get access to information and get you to turn over money, unfortunately.
And here's the thing, is the IRS ever going to call you?
They don't. They don't use threatening fear tactics or that kind of you have to do it right now or else. They really do a lot of it through the mail in correspondence, direct correspondence.
And that's a top scam. What would be the second?
Debt collection. So again, it's in a situation where people believe that they probably do owe the money or they may owe the debt, and it's very threatening. If you don't pay right now, we're going to call the police, so-and-so is going to show up at your doorstep. We need to have this much money right now. So it's getting access to funds or getting you to give up bank information over the phone immediately.
Now, if you get one of these calls and I mean, you're scared, you're kind of worried. What should you do just to make sure that you're protecting your own information?
I think the key thing is to be very aware that if someone is calling you and pressuring you over the phone, anyone, for your personal information or financial information, it's okay to say, I'll call you back. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to ask for a phone number, to say you have a hot pan on the stove, someone's knocking at the door, whatever excuse you feel comfortable with, to get off the phone and then make the call yourself. If there's someone that you owe money to, or if it is the IRS, you can proactively make that contact so that you know you're talking to a legitimate party, and be aware that there are people out there posing as these agencies that are very threatening.
In general, what are some basic steps to protect yourself, not only with these scams, but some of the other common things that you see?
Don't give up your information, your personal information, your bank account information, your social security. Don't give any information to someone you don't know. So whether they're posing as a position of authority, sending you an email, using all kinds of information to provide credibility for themselves. We even have people calling that have the credit card number and they're just looking for the code on the back of the card. So if you don't know who you're talking to, don't trust automatically. I think that's a big key. It's the high pressure tactics that we often see, that you have to take this action right now, we need this information right now. That is just not the case, even when someone is dealing with a situation of security or debt or taxes.
And I know when I do a lot of consumer stories, I think sometimes people are afraid to ask questions. But you can ask as many as you want.
Well, these guys that are calling on the phone, they've really honed their skills. They know how to work you, and they know how to work your fear. And we have so much of our society, again, that's in debt. So many of us do owe taxes, that they've learned how to play the game. So don't give in to it. Take a break and proactively make the phone call.
And let's talk about resources. Where should people go to for help here in San Diego?
There are a ton of resources available online, fortunately. The BBB is a good starting point, because while we aren't in a position to hold a business accountable or really affect some change, we're kind of that impartial third party. We know who the resources are, whether you should go to the Attorney General's office, which is a great resource, or the Federal Trade Commission, which is a great resource. Here in California, we have the Department of Consumer Affairs, which is huge, and they've got a huge number of regulatory agencies under them. So we may help direct you to the appropriate regulatory agency for the issue that you're dealing with. So feel free to give us a call.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
No, absolutely. If you've been victimized by a business, understand that you're not alone. I have been. We all feel very silly at the time. We've made a mistake. It's our fault. It's not. When someone misleads you, takes advantage of you, that is not your fault, and there is information and resources that can help you.
Great, Sheryl. All good information. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Melissa Mecija with this week's San Diego Newsmakers for 10 News.